whole life is sort of this play between East and West.
He hated the oppression of little people, which he saw everywhere. In the Japanese occupation, the Boxer Rebellion, the foreign powers going into China. He just thought all of that was wrong.
To live the life he wanted to live, he had to fight for it. He really had to put it out there and really walk the walk.
I mean, it is easy for me to put on a show and be cocky and be flooded with a cocky feeling and then feel like pretty cool and all that. Or I can make all kinds of phony things, you see what I mean? Blinded by it. Or I can show you some really fancy movement. But to express oneself honestly, not lying to oneself, and to express myself honestly, that, my friend, is...
Well, I think everyone probably remembers the first time that they ever saw a Bruce Lee film or television show and watching the amazing physicality that he embodied. But the more you get to learn about his spirit and his multi-dimensional personality as a human being, it's even more inspirational. And there's a great film out called I Am Bruce Lee that gives you some insight into the man. And we are very happy to be joined by Shannon Lee, daughter of Bruce Lee, executive producer, and Linda Lee Cadwell.
How are you both?
Hey, guys.
We're good, thank you.
Now, executive producer, you've seen the movie. Yeah. Linda, last night there was a premiere here in Vancouver. Your very first time seeing it. What was that like for you?
You know, I didn't know what to expect because I have seen numerous projects about Bruce, and I must say that this film exceeded my expectations. It was thrilling. It really let Bruce tell his story, and I'm just thrilled that he can share his philosophy and then how it impacted all the people who were in.
Did you know the scope of the film and how it was put together, and that there would be input from all these other people about the influence that Bruce had on their life?
Yes, I knew the general structure of the film, but I thought the interviews of the people were just terrific. Yeah. And that's only a few people. There are thousands and millions of people around the world that have been influenced by Bruce.
And Shannon, why was it the right time for you to do a film like this? Of course, there's been countless documentaries done about your father, but why the right timing for you?
You know, it's interesting. When I first started talking to Network Entertainment about this piece, I really was questioning, really another documentary, because, you know, there have been so many. But, you know, after seeing their work and knowing the caliber and the quality of the work that they had done in the past, and then their vision for this, I really thought this is perfect, you know, because it really is going to present the totality of the man and have people understand who he was, where he came from, what his influence is today. And that is very meaningful to me, especially with all the projects we have going on and, you know, the things that we're trying to get done. And
I found it did such a, I mean, obviously because it's done by you, but what a great focus to learn about his philosophy, understanding where he came from to come to that point. I had never seen it from that perspective before. Was it tough to narrow it down, or?
You know, we're so lucky because we have this fabulous interview that my father did with Pierre Burton, Canada's own
Canadian kid.
And he himself articulates so much of his own point of view and his own philosophy, and it weaves so beautifully in with all of the influence that we hear and all the personal stories that we hear, that it really painted the picture beautifully, I think.
Well, and Linda, you see the evolution, and that's what I think I attach myself to, and I know in your own life philosophy, that idea of continual growth. You're never static, and in every aspect of Bruce's life, whether it was the martial arts aspect or the spiritual growth or the intellectual growth, he never really stopped growing at all.
Absolutely, and that was one of his firm beliefs, is that his life was always a process of maturing, a process of learning, never arriving and staying at one point. He was always growing, examining his life and finding what worked best for him, his own way.
It's funny though, as a human being though, Shannon, I mean, you always have that expectation that at some point you'll reach the aha moment, you know, like, I got it, I nailed it, finally.
Everybody thinks, if only I could do this, then I'll be there, but...
It's amazing to see someone who everyone understands was brilliant, right? And yet never being satisfied with where he was, always yearning to do a little bit more.
Always pushing the envelope, always going to the next
Had
place.
you watched these interviews before? I mean, not the people, but like the Pierre Berton interview and a lot of that.
Yes, I was 4 when my father passed away. I had seen the Pierre Berton interview, and I really love it and cherish it. I think it's such a masterful, interview with him. But my own memories of him are very subtle, sort of glimpses, more about just sort of the feeling of the time and all that sort of thing. So it's really, I'm very lucky and fortunate that all of this material exists. And even that he left behind so many notes and thoughts on his own process that I feel like
Never mind all his work that we see in film as well.
But the library full of annotated and books with notes.
We talked about the Pierre Berton interview, but we haven't talked about the people who were interviewed in the documentary. I mean, we're seeing some of the world's best athletes. I had never, of course, being a girl, to